This is the best way to set up levels and a level select for your game. In this video, we're only going to have 2 scenes, one for a level select and one for a game scene, and then have all of our levels built in external layouts. Which means that if you need to make any changes to your game, you have one master scene to work from instead of needing to tweak a bunch of different level scenes. So let's jump in. In this project, there's just the game scene and level select. In the game scene, there are some UI elements to show what level you're on, and a button to go back to the level select, and a background. As well as a tile map for building out levels, a player object, and a goal for the player to get in each level. In the level select scene, there's just one button, and we'll put a couple of those out to represent level 1, 2, 3, and 4. But to identify each button, we need to add a variable called button number. In the properties panel, we'll change that for each instance of the button. So for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So each button has its own number. Then in the event sheet, we'll add an event with the condition beginning of scene, and then add another event of the for each object type, and select the button. Then, set the label text for each button to equal the level select button's button number. Then at the beginning of the scene, the game will repeat that for each button and modify the text. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we want to select levels with the buttons. So we'll make an event with the condition is clicked for the button, and then the action to change the scene to the game scene. But this is just taking us to the master game scene and isn't actually selecting a level. So now we need to go to global variables and add a variable for current level. And it needs to be a global variable because it needs to carry over from the level select scene to the game scene. So when the button is clicked, we'll add the action to change the variable value of the current level to equal that button number. So now when the button's clicked, the button number gets saved as the current level. And then we go to the game scene to use that information. So here in the game scene, we want to go to the event sheet and add an event for creating the level. We'll add this to the beginning of scene event, and then use the action create objects from an external layout. And then instead of selecting an actual layout, we'll use an expression, level, in quotations, plus the variable for current level. So the engine will read this as text for level plus that button number. So level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on. And then we'll set the position the level spawns at to 0, which is the top corner of the game scene. Now before we can create a level in the game scene, we need to actually create a level. So in the project manager, at the bottom, you'll see external layouts. So we're going to add an external layout, and we're going to call it level 1, because that's how we're going to select this layout in the game scene. So then we click into that and choose the level to attach the external layout to, and in this case it's the game scene. And that gives us access to all the objects from that game scene. So I'll quickly build a level to use in the game, where we have the player and the goal object. So now back to the level select, and we're ready to try this out. So if I preview the game and click on the button 1, I'm taken to the game scene where the current level variable is used to pick the external layout level 1. We also want to show the level number in each level, so we'll quickly add that too. So in the game scene, when the level's created, change the text of the level text object to equal level plus the current level. Now before we continue, I need to make some more levels for the game. And now that I have 4 different levels made, we can string them together. So in the game scene's event sheet, we'll add an event for when the player object collides with the goal object, where we change the current level variable by adding 1 to it, and then change back to the game scene, which will restart this scene, but with the current level changed to one above. If I preview the game and start at level 1, you'll see that I'm on level 1, and if I go to the goal, the game scene will restart, but now on level 2. And because the current level is changed to 2 instead of 1, when the game starts, it picks the level 2 external layout. And then 3 and 4. And then you'll need to add another condition for when the collision happens and you're out of levels to go to. So in the event sheet of the game scene, we'll add 2 sub-events. And we'll check to see if the current level is greater than 4. And then if the current level is equal to or less than 4. We add to the current level like before, but this time, if that level number is above 4, then we'll go back to the level select. But if it's 4 or less, we'll go to the game scene, because we have up to 4 levels that they can play. Now to finish up this example, we need the button in the game scene to work, and we need to not be able to select the buttons in level select unless we've unlocked the levels in the game. So in the game scene, we'll quickly add an event where if the button is clicked, we'll change the scene to level select. And then to prevent players from being able to access levels they haven't actually unlocked yet, we need to add another global variable. And this time we need to add an array. An array is kind of like a folder that can hold other variables. And so for us, we're going to add 5 different variables where we have level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll just ignore 0. So what we're going to do is use 1 as unlocked and 0 as locked. And then in the level selects event sheet, we'll add a sub-event to this repeat for each instance event for the buttons, and use the condition compare 2 numbers. And so the first number will be the variable we just set up, so the unlocked levels, and to pick the number we want to get in the array, we're going to add square brackets, and inside the brackets, we'll use the button number, and see if that is equal to 0. So in our global variables, we're going to check if the button number 1 is 0. And then we'll check if 2 is 0, 3 is 0, 4 is 0, and so on. And if it is equal to 0, we'll just delete that button. So now if I preview the game, I only have 1 button, because only number 1 in our array list was set to 1. Everything else was set to 0. So now we need to go to the game scene and change those variables whenever you beat the level. So in the game scene's event sheet, when the player runs into the goal, we'll change the variable for unlocked levels, and then again in square brackets, we'll put current level, and we'll set that to 1. The autocomplete won't work for this, so make sure you're spelling it correctly. So now if we preview the game and click 1, if we go back to level select, we'll just have 1. But if we go to the goal and get to level 2, from here if we go back to level select, level 1 and level 2 are unlocked. So I can click back into level 2 and go there again. And the same thing for 3 and 4. And because level 4 is our last level, when I beat that scene, I have all of the levels unlocked. If you'd like to learn more about how to build a game with GDevelop, be sure to check out this playlist.